I wanted to take a minute to review what I think is one of the best no-limit Holdem books on the market today, second maybe only to Sklansky's No Limit Holdem Theory and Practice. This is Professional No Limit Holdem. There's the back. Matt Flynn, Sonny Maeda, and Ed Miller. Now, everybody knows Ed Miller, great strategist. Matt Flynn and Sonny Maeda, also good strategists in their own right. This is not intended to be a textbook for no limit Holdem. Now, it's thick, right? So you may think this is going to cover everything there is to cover in no limit Holdem. But what I found when you talk about any topic, whether you're talking about poker or whatever you're good at in your career or any topic at all, you can write 3 words on it or you can write 300 pages on it. The difference is how much depth you're going to go into. Now, take bubblegum for example. This is the example I usually give. I can do bubblegum in 3 words. I can say flavored chewing rubber. Or I could do a 300-page treatise on how it's made, the technical aspects, flavoring, who chews it, why they chew it, where it originated. You could write endlessly about bubblegum. This is that kind of book. This is not like Sklansky and Miller's Theory and Practice book, which is kind of an overview of the entire no-limit game. Even though it's called Professional No Limit Holdem, there's not much about being a professional in this. It's really about one thing, which is stacked pot ratio. And it may be the only concept in poker that I use on a hand-by-hand basis when I have a great hand. You know, there's lots of stuff you pull in to the mix, semi-bluffs, combinatorics, game theory, when you need it. Like you got your junk drawer poker, right? Your junk drawer is, it's the A-B play. It's the way ahead, way behind. Your junk drawer is the semi-bluff with overcards and a flush draw. You pull them out when you need them. This is not junk drawer stuff. This is a fantastic look at the stacked pot ratio, which there's a definition in here somewhere. Let me just say what they say about it. SPR makes post-flop play easier. I completely agree. This is one of the things I teach all of my students. Play your hands so that they're easy to play. You know, you can make lots of decisions in poker. Some decisions you make early in the hand make your later decisions harder. Raising with something like 3-4 suited is a great example of this. You may have really hard decisions when you've got like a straight draw or you've got bottom 2 pair and somebody puts you a decision for all your chips. You're going to have a hard decision. It's too strong to fold, maybe too weak to call. Hard decision. Playing aces when you flop a set, pretty easy decision. SPR makes your decisions across the board easier. And I know that this has received follow-up coverage. You know, most people who are professionals use and have heard of SPR, but this was the book that invented it, right? And that's why it's a great read. It's 310 pages on commitment. When do you get committed to a hand? That's why I say it's the treatise of bubblegum of the poker world. You could have written 300 pages on no limit and scratched the surface of all of it, but when you write 300 pages on how to play hands where you're pot committed and when to get pot committed and how to avoid being pot committed, that is an in-depth book. And this goes through much in the way that Theory and Practice does. It's got just enough math where you can get through it, even if you're not a math whiz. But towards the back, it's got appendices and things where you can really dive deep into the math. And it's really simple advice. You know, 4 is often better than 3. When would you put in 4 pot-sized bets, and when would you put in 3 pot-sized bets? Saying that sometimes 4 is better than 3, and it explains why that is. It talks about target SPRs. When should you get, you know, how big should you build a pot essentially with your hand? That's your target SPR. And the advice is simple. Try to play as many hands as possible near your target SPRs. And keep your opponents from playing hands near their target SPRs. Simple advice, but how do you figure that out? The next 35, 40 pages cover that. Fantastic look at kind of the math of playing big hands. Coordinated boards, otherwise known as wet boards, dry boards, maximizing your equity post-flop. This has got an entire section here on the REM process, which it stands for range equity maximize. Calculate your range and the range of your opponents. Calculate your equity, then maximize your value against their range. Simple, right? But this gets 100 pages deep into how you do that. That's why I strongly recommend Professional Middleman Holdem, Volume 1, Matt Flynn, Sonny Mehta, Ed Miller. These guys just did a fantastic job in this. Now, it was printed in 2007, which is why it's pretty much been adopted into the public by now, and you've probably heard about these concepts. You probably haven't read 300 pages on them, and if you want to be a professional, this is what you need. This is what separates the men from the boys. This is what you need to know and you need to focus on if you want to get much better at poker. So there's the book review. We're about to jump back in with actually some more hand reviews, and then we'll come back later for another lecture session. One thing you need to know, twitch.tv/riskoriented is our Twitch channel. We're going to be streaming these book reviews, these hand reviews, lectures, strategies, things like that every day. Check us out, follow us, like us, donate, subscribe, whatever you can do to support the cause, so we can keep bringing you great content like this. All right, there's Professional Middleman Holdem Volume 1. Thank you, and we'll get back to the hands.